What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of the A24 Archive. This is a segment on my channel where I go back through A24's entire filmography from the first film they released all the way until whenever I get caught up. And the movie today, I remember very distinctly when the trailers for this movie were released, and I was actually really excited to watch it because it stars both Julianne Moore and John Turturro. Michael Cera shows up in this movie. So just those performances alone made me interested. But for some reason, I just never got around to seeing this. And throughout the years, when I've visited movies in A24's catalog, this one's always kind of like just flipped my mind and I haven't gone on to visit it. And so I finally sat down and watched this movie. I read that this is actually a remake of this director's previous work, just with English speaking actors. And the movie I'm going to be telling you about today is Gloria Bell. Gloria Bell is directed by Sebastián Lelio. Gloria is a free-spirited divorcee who spends her days at a straight-laced office job and her nights on the dance floor, joyfully letting loose at clubs around Los Angeles. After meeting Arnold on a night out, she finds herself thrust into an unexpected new romance, filled with both the joys of budding love and the complications of dating, identity, and family. So, like I said, I was really looking forward to watching this movie because of the actors involved. And I did not like this movie at all. Unfortunately, this movie kind of sucked. And I feel like this is one of those instances where I've said this multiple times. It's a movie about an aging divorcee who is trying to find herself. Through finding herself, thinks that, like, a relationship is what's going to make her feel better, and that maybe, throughout the movie she realizes, I don't need a relationship, I just need to love myself. And this is supposed to be a very female empowering movie, and it's just one of those that you can kind of feel like a man wrote it. And I know that's funny, like you feel like a man wrote it or directed it, where it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't resonate in a way that feels authentic. There are some moments in this movie that I was just kind of rolling my eyes by, like, how on the nose some of the stuff that they were incorporating was. And for the most part, it's just really bland. Like, this movie's almost an hour and 50 minutes long, and it honestly, I don't say this very often, it took a lot for me to stay awake. I was honestly just so bored out of my mind, and I kept just like, I gotta power through, I've got to watch this movie. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it as I break the movie down. So very simply, at the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Gloria, played by Julianne Moore, who works a very boring office job, but she likes to go out and dance, and she's very often seen in the movie singing in her car. She's trying to let loose and have fun. We learn early on she has two kids, both of them living their own very distinct, separate lives. Her daughter teaches a yoga class and is currently in a relationship with this guy who I think he's like a surfer, something of that nature. She finds out that she's pregnant while he's away. And then Michael Cera plays her son, and he is in this relationship where the wife is always traveling, so he's always at home taking care of their child. And she has been divorced for, I think they said, like 8 to 12 years, something of that point, and she just can't find a person to date. She's out there constantly searching and looking, but nothing's really working out. And one night she ends up meeting Arnold, played by John Turturro, and the two of them start going on dates together. And we find out that he owns this like paintball center where people come in and go outdoors and play paintball together. And she starts spending time with him and feeling alive again. But she slowly starts to figure out what Arnold's life is like. He is divorced as well, and he has two daughters. And she starts to understand more about him. And the entirety of the film is the complicated relationship between these two characters and Gloria Bell's journey to find joy in her life again. So, like I said, this movie is not very good, but I will say positives. John Turturro and Julianne Moore are both great. I think the characters themselves are very hollow and relatively uninteresting, but these are two legendary actors who give two of the best performances that they possibly can with this very underwritten material. And that's the best I can say about the two of them. I feel like there are moments where their chemistry shines through, but honestly, like John Turturro's character, I never really felt that spark that I think the movie was looking for, because obviously it goes in a very different direction in the end. I don't know, just the way that they meet, and like a lot of like the writing qualities of their character were lackluster, but their performances were both very good. The movie's also very competently shot. I wouldn't say that it's spectacular or anything, but it's visually appealing enough to hold your interest when it's supposed to. And I did like a lot of the popular music choices. I think it works for what Gloria's character is trying to be representative of, and I appreciated that about the movie. But my problem is Gloria as a character is the most uninteresting, uninspiring, bland individual that you could ever put into a movie. And that's not to say that every person on this planet is like the most interesting or compelling individual, but we're watching a movie. So like the entire time I'm watching this, I'm like, what are the traits that they're going to give her other than I'm sad? Like that, and that's really unfortunately the difficult part is like her performance is good, but there are so many moments where I was just yearning to find something to appreciate because being a woman in this world is hard enough. When you see the experiences of women, what they have to deal with just to get into upper level positions for businesses, the way that they're scrutinized just for existing. Women deal with so much. And I think that there's a lot that you can bring to a story when portraying a lead character that is a woman. And I think in this particular case, Julianne Moore's character, she, has this job that she doesn't really like all that much. She has two kids that she loves, but both of her kids like drive her nuts in ways she tries not to show it as much. But aside from that, I didn't feel like I got much out of her character other than she just kind of grovels in her own misery consistently. Like she has those moments where she goes dancing or sings in her car, but like I wanted something else. I wanted something that made her character compelling enough to root for. And a lot of times I just thought she was miserable in a way that was kind of annoying to watch. And it's the same way I felt about John Turturro's character. Like every sort of attribute they give to him just paints him as this really obnoxious individual, which like in the third act, it makes sense where the movie goes in regards to the decisions that he makes with his ex-wife and his kids. And I get that his character is supposed to be fundamentally flawed to carry us to the finish line. But the problem is when you put two characters that are so uninspiring and boring to watch on screen, it's difficult to stay engaged for an hour and 50 minutes. And like the big part of the movie, I felt like was the dinner that they had that Julianne Moore was introducing John Turturro to her ex-husband and his new partner and her kids, that like the tension or like the drama that was supposed to exist in that particular moment, it just felt very flat and like uninspired. And I'm watching like I'm supposed to feel emotionally moved by this in one way or another, and I didn't feel that at all. I just felt kind of bored, unfortunately. And I hate using that word because like cinema is subjective, and I'm sure there's people that somehow find this incredibly engaging, but like to me it was like watching paint dry. There just wasn't enough explored about this character for me to like root for her in a way that I'm like, I want to see her succeed. I want to see her get what's going to make her feel fulfilled. Instead, I was just like, let's get this thing to the finish line. I'm so bored. I just don't care anymore. And honestly, it's been a couple days since I've watched this, and I've already forgot a lot of the key moments in the movie because it was that poorly done. And I would skip over this movie. I don't think there's anything really redeeming about it, and it's definitely one of the lesser in quality in A24's catalog. So have you seen Gloria Bell? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really boring, and I thought that it was really underdeveloped, and I will never watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.